Nella Domenici is running for Senate in New Mexico. There she is. Nella, good morning. Welcome back. How goes the final week of the campaign?
Good morning, Hugh. Great to see you. Well, we're all filled with energy. Things are going really well. We have strong momentum. It's growing every day. Polls are closing in. We're going to have a victory here. We'll be a red state. And it's just very, very exciting. And Trump's coming Thursday, as you may know. So that's
Yeah,
driving a
that's
lot
what I
of
was going
this
to ask you
momentum.
about. Donald Trump does not waste the last week of his campaign. He's looking for a solid Senate majority, so he's going to go help you out. Which is it in Albuquerque, the rally?
Yes, the rally's in Albuquerque. We don't know exactly where, somewhere near the airport. So it'll be
Okay.
easy for
Now,
him to land, have a huge event, and zip out.
Nella, it's an expensive state because there's only one media market that really matters. I guess Santa Fe matters as well. How are you competing on the cash side with the dark money the Democrats are using to prop up your invisible opponent?
We're competing well. We're continuing to run almost the same TV ad load that he's running, and we're using other forms of media as well in a very, very competitive way. We're
Now,
continuing
I
to
saw
run,
that the National
we're
Republican
continuing to
Senatorial Committee came in with a big buy. That tells me they don't waste money either. You must be very, very close to going ahead.
Yes, we are. And, our state has so many problems. We're number one in crime. We're number one in drug usage. We're number one in doctors leaving. We're the worst state for education, for economic development. We're the worst state for early childhood well being. So people are angry. People are frustrated. People want change, and it's time for a change. And you know what? They're ready to bring back a Domenici.
Now, Nella, when we talked last, you told me about the crime problem, and I'm still staggered. I walk around telling people that it's what the most dangerous state or the most dangerous city. Would you remind people again what has happened in New Mexico?
So New Mexico, it's a combination of having really a wide open border, and we have to think that they're radical progressives for this wide open border. And Martin Heinrich, the senator I'm running against, has left that border wide open. Therefore, we have three cartels that just dominate our state. Our state's been flooded massively with fentanyl. We have some of the highest homicide rates, highest deaths due to alcoholism, deaths due to drugs. The state is just getting crushed because of border issues and some gangs that have already been in Albuquerque, very prominent, and the crime problem is just filtrating into the entire state.
So, when you go out and talk to people on the campaign trail, do they agree with this, or they are there because of inflation, or both?
People in New Mexico are really angry because of crime and the cost of living. New Mexico is one of the poorest states. Our average family income is, in the bottom five. And so when inflation hits America, it just crushes New Mexico. And that inflation is caused by the spending that Martin Heinrich approved over the last 4 years. People are finally holding him accountable. They know he left the border open, they know that's driving crime. They know he overspent in the last 4 years, and that drives the price of goods in the grocery store that they see every single day.
Nella Domenici, I really wouldn't know Martin Heinrich if I bumped into him. I go up to the Hill a lot, and I know a lot of Democrats like Chris Coons and Angus King, and Angus is an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats. I get along with him. I wouldn't recognize him. Has he done anything in his time in the Senate?
I'm a businesswoman and I like to look at data. So we've done a lot of analysis. In his 12 years in the Senate, he's passed two bills. And I'm looking at bills that he originated and bills that passed. He's passed two bills and he's issued 5,000 press releases. So we wanted to compare him to another senator and see what another good senator did in 12 years. We compared him to my father. My father had 22 bills passed in his first 12 years versus two. So Martin Heinrich is really good at press releases and not a real legislator.
I'm curious, Nella. Your father was a legend. I was in town with the Reagan administration as a young man. He was a legend. Do New Mexicans remember him?
New Mexicans remember him, they love him. People come up to me every day, give me hugs, cry. They tell about stories how he helped them or their mother or their brother. My father could create transformative legislation. He did that with the budget, he did that with mental health. But he also helped people one on one throughout this entire state for 36 years. And people remember that kindness and that generosity.
Now, your Harvard Business School, HBS means brains. Does that help you or hurt you when you're talking to people who are just getting started on the road to economic advancement?
It helps me, and I'll tell you why. Because cost of living is such a pivotal, huge problem here, and New Mexicans understand that federal excessive federal spending has hurt them and it has caused interest rates to go up and caused the cost of living to go up. And they know and trust that I could be their leader in Washington fighting the battle against inflation. And they know I'm trained and educated enough to make a huge difference in the battle against inflation.
Now, I want to close with three topics, Nella: Latinos, tribes, and money. So let's start with Latinos. How are you going over with the Latino vote in New Mexico?
So we're doing extremely well with the Latin vote, but not only the Latin vote, the Democrat Latin vote. So we have many of the leaders in the Democrat Latin community on our team. They host events, they raise money, they get out and vote. So that's been a real, I think Trump does too. And that wave, we're building that wave, we're driving that wave, and it's pushing in a lot of votes. With regards
Now, the
to Native
tribes
American,
in my old state of California were primarily Democrat, but they also voted their pocketbooks. I don't know how big your population is, but I know that when John Thune first ran for Senate in South Dakota, he lost by like 500 votes, and he lost because of late arriving tribal votes from the western part of his state. How is it in your state?
so our state, the Native Americans are more Democrat than Republican, but the Native Americans loved Senator Domenici. They loved my father, and they voted for him time and time again. And on top of that, Martin Heinrich and his radical progressives have done some terrible things to, in particular, the Navajo population. They've closed down their energy plants because they're coal. So they've taken away their major employer. They've caused some parts of the Navajo Nation to have huge unemployment problems. So the Navajos are beginning to say we shouldn't trust Martin Heinrich, we shouldn't trust the Democrats, and they already knew they could trust a Domenici.
And my last question, NellaForSenate.com. Does it matter if you still get contributions in this last week? Can you put them to work?
Absolutely. We're putting out ads every day. We're using dollars every day to fight this race using media, and we can continue to raise money. It will help us. So thank you for making donations. Go to NellaForSenate.com. NellaForSenate.com. It's an
It's the
exciting race.
easiest of
Please.
all the websites. NellaForSenate.com. It's Nella for Senate.com. Nella Domenici, good luck in your closing kick. Have fun with President Trump. It's always fun to go to a Trump rally, and I wish you luck in the closing minutes of the campaign.
Thank you so much. Great to be on your show. Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.